don't know, but it's something along those lines of I'm there, why not? Seems to be the common denominator between why they come to me.
What do you give off, like sugar dad vibes?
I ain't got no fucking money.
He gives off real dad vibes. He's raising kids, babysitting, managing a house. This man's
Granddad
dependable.
vibes.
This man
Granddad
is great
vibes?
with kids, cusses them out every day, and and still feeds them. This is what you want.
Let it out.
Yeah, let it out. Let it out. What's on your mind, Matt? What's pissing you off?
Second time that Comcast has screwed us over with contracts and has taken up to, I think we still have some jobs that are pushing 6 months old that still haven't paid out. And
Are you serious?
yes, and this is after apparently they have reported record profits for this year, yet they're claiming to us that they don't have money to pay us. So,
Didn't you ask
bullshit. Yes.
Oric? No, you asked you asked him.
Yeah, I asked him, and he had said that, yeah, they have recorded like record profits this year. And so, yeah, we have officially dropped that contract, which means we don't have enough work for 2 techs. And so my boss is having to take care of him and his family first. So I'm having to rebuild a resume and start into the job search again.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But like, is the guy gonna go after like Comcast? It's probably not even worth going after Comcast. They have like a freaking team of like lawyers. And to
Yeah.
go
And,
after like a breach
and
of contract would be stupid.
yeah, if
Or
they had actually
well,
followed up
expensive.
the contract for each of the fucking the way it was set up, after 30 days, each day we get to tack on a late fee per job that's over 30 days per day. I don't see him being able to fucking get that from them either. So if the jobs do pay out, he's gonna pay me what he owes me as it comes in, but I got no fucking idea if it's gonna come in, when it's gonna come in. Supposedly, he said he's gonna get something from them today / through this weekend, so Monday or Tuesday might get something out of them, but I don't know how much. Last time this shit happened, I was out 4 to 6 grand. So yeah, we're probably sitting around that much, if not more, this time that I'm probably gonna not be getting back.
Damn.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's what I've been dealing with recently. How about y'all?
Work and just got back from a vacation, and I am still very stressed.
Recovering.
Yeah, I'm recovering. That vacation was borderline not relaxing at all because every day was something different. All my bad luck pooled into that. So I've ranted about that a lot though in the last couple weeks. Everything from losing my checked bag for 8 out of 13 days from the airline, not for me, to getting food poisoning and diarrhea at the same time. One night, losing like 5 to 10% of my body weight in one night. Didn't go to the hospital. I didn't feel like I had to. I was like, I know what this is. I just got to get through it. So, it was fun.
Oh damn.
It was fun. 2 out of 10. For me, it was 9 out of 10, but I would not recommend it to anyone else. So, Ari, what do you got going on?
Just like the fact that like, my girlfriend and I were like arguing and like basically just like almost like every day, like for the past 2 weeks, there was like something that like, would either get me upset or get her upset. And then also the fact that like, Tuesday happened and I ended up having to break up with her. And yeah, so that's the
Oh,
only
damn.
thing. Yeah.
Sorry, man. Well, on that cheery note, welcome
All
aboard,
right.
everyone, to another episode of Unfiltered Pineapple, the show where me and my other 8 friends and co-hosts just rotate each episode and shoot the breeze, whatever we
Wait, I
want
thought it
for the
was
day.
9 in total.
9 and yeah, me plus 8, 9 in total. Yeah, 9 in total, 9 of us.
Okay.
All right, yeah,
Learn math.
working on it. No, I'm
I'm in
working
law
on it.
school.
Okay.
We don't do math. We
Yeah.
don't do math in law school.
Law school isn't about math; it's about words, English. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to? Do you want to put your breakup in public, or do you want to just brush that to the side? You can brush it aside.
Oh my God. I don't think I want to bring that to the public, to be honest with you.
You don't want to ring it out in the air just yet. All right. That's fine.
No. It'll probably be like a future episode when we talk about like toxic things because
Yeah.
like I talked to like multiple people about it and just like yeah, like every person that I talk to says that they've either seen like red flags or like toxicity in general. And yeah, it'd probably be a better episode to talk about that, like things to look out for or like red flags. And when you're in love, I guess you don't really see that.
It's funny that you said that because
It's crazy though, because like now, like when I look back at it, it's like, oh yeah, that was definitely a red flag. Why didn't I see it as that? I don't know. It's weird.
We should have definitely gotten you in on the episode where we made the red flags tier list.
Oh man,
Me,
yeah.
Auric, and Platypus. We found a random tier list online, and it was so big we have to break it up into 2 parts. But yeah, that's a fun discussion.
Damn.
Apparently,
All right.
I have comprehension issues based on me not being able to read. But yeah,
Interesting.
Matt, tell us about your babysitting habits.
I don't babysit.
Yes, you do.
No, my grandmother babysits, and I live with her, helping her out. We are down to, other than the niece and nephew, still watching the neighbor's kid. One of the kids that we used to babysit a couple days a week, and an old family friend recently had a kid that we're watching now as well. So we're down to like at most 5 at a time, down to only 1 at a time, depending on the day of the week. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
For anyone
That's
that doesn't know, they always break Matt's stuff specifically at the house. No one else. So that's it. But anywho, yeah. So that Morocco trip, I went to Morocco. I said I went on
Interesting,
vacation.
yeah.
I went to Morocco. Everything
How
was
was
going
that?
fine, but right when I landed, I was so happy, and then me and like 2 other people, our bags never showed up at the
Oh man.
what is it? Not the pad, the conveyor
Did
belt.
they ever explain what happened to the bags?
No, they just. Well, I know what happened. They just didn't put it on the plane. So I had 2 layovers,
what?
one in Boston, one in Paris, and then landed in Marrakesh. And when we landed in Paris, we had 45 minutes to board the next plane. I'm like, there's no fucking way they are getting it from this transatlantic cargo plane that we were just on, commercial plane, into this other plane in 45 minutes. Because everyone on the plane had to power walk, and half of us went to the next flight, which was our connecting flight to go to Morocco. Yet a good chunk of them had it on there. Apparently, I don't know. It was interesting.
Did he have anything? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Did
like
he have anything like?
half my wardrobe. So.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I was gonna ask if you had anything valuable.
No,
that
well,
would
I
have
mean,
been
literally
like,
half my closet of like, not specialty, but specific clothing that I have purchased or like a lot, or what I wear regularly, like day in, day
Okay.
out. Not really the more special occasion or less used items. It was in my regular wardrobe that I wear all the time that was in there, because my backpack had like the medical stuff I needed, a change of pants and shirt and a couple changes of underwear and stuff, but you can't fit much in there. So
Right. I was gonna ask too because it seems like it's getting a little bit more like common for like airlines to just like
oh, it's
lose your bag.
it's getting
Have you
horrible
have
though.
you heard?
When you call Air
Yeah.
France, the first thing that comes up is, "We know we have a problem with lost luggage lately. Please direct
Oh
yourself
damn.
to this number." And I'm like, "Bullshit, that doesn't sound reliable at all."
No.
And I was unlucky, but I wasn't the worst because the one woman on my flight, she lost all. She only had like her hand purse, which could hold like
Oh
her phone and
no.
wallet, and both of her bags were lost, and she had to go to the desert the next day for like a week. I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, she's screwed." I at least
that's
have some stuff in
awful.
my luggage to last a couple days.
Yeah. But you know, did you hear about like the whole like situation in like Heathrow Airport in London? Like
No.
they were just like for months, like luggage was just like in their basement, basically, like in their like area where they, are supposed to handle it, and just like people like lost like a whole bunch of, their luggage. And what's funny is like, everyone like knows like if they travel through Heathrow, they know that their luggage is there. It's just like, there's no one to be able to help them to find it, or like, it's just a mess.
Yeah. I don't know.
But like
It is really bad lately. I don't know why. A dude, when I was reporting my lost luggage, some dude came up. He was from the UK also. I forget where exactly.
mhm.
But he's like, yeah, and he came to pick up his suitcase. He's like, yeah, it's been 4 days. They contacted me. They said it finally arrived.
Oh wow.
Because that was the first direct flight from where he flew out of in the UK, not London. I forget where exactly, but he's like, that was the first flight in 4 days from that city to come over here for it to come over. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. There's a few flights a day from the Paris airport that I came from.
Right.
And but it wasn't, so I waited in the airport for 8 hours for the next flight to see if it was put on the next one, and it wasn't. So then I had to leave because I had to go to a different city in Fez. So I had to take an overnight bus for 10 hours. That was day one. I didn't sleep for about 60 hours because I don't sleep on public transportation, especially when I'm in a different country. So that was
Right.
very brutal. Showered
Oh
at
wow.
like 7:30 in the morning, went to bed at 8, woke up at like 2 in the afternoon, felt refreshed.
Oh man.
So that was how it started off. Not the best
Oh
day.
man.
But I watched the Batman on the way there, so over the
Oh
Atlantic,
man.
and I know Platypus wants to heavily discuss that, so I'll hold off on my thoughts on that. But I'll leave it with it was good.
Yeah, so anything fun to do in Morocco? Like what was like the highlight of your trip, I feel?
Other than having to spend 17 hours one day, 8 days later to drive across the desert with no AC to the airport to pick up my luggage and come back. What was the highlight? The highlight was just seeing my fiance for 2 weeks. That's it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
special happened. Just something crappy every day. But
Oh man.
I was with her and her family, so that's why I said 9 out of 10 for me. If I was not there with them, I legit would have, after I got my bag or got that figured out, would have had it sent back to me, and I would have left like day 3. I'm not like that, but I was like, I really can't handle this anymore.
Oh man.
So it was brutal. The last day was nice. Just had a day with her, going out and shopping and stuff, but. Yeah, after the third trip to a country, going to the same cities, there's not too much more you can learn. So you're just kind of like, it gets kind of mundane. So if you go to like, maybe not a massive city like Paris or New York or something, you go there for like
Right.
3 weeks in 3 years, there's always something to do. But if you just go to a casual city, maybe something like Prague or smaller, like you already know what you're going to get each day.
Yeah.
There's not too much more exciting. So. But a lot of people can't.
And I don't remember, but Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, man.
I can't tell you how much undercooked beef, which is whatever, but how much undercooked food
Ugh.
and chicken I had when I was out there. I was like, this stuff should not be
Oh, my.
undercooked. That's why I kept getting sick. I'm like, I don't have a sensitive gut. I eat anything. I can
Yeah.
eat anything. But I was like, when I take a bite out of food, I'm like, this is gonna upset me. I know for a fact it's gonna upset me because I'm like, they don't. It's one reason why I don't like. That's
That was
why
like
I don't
food
like
that you
Southern
purchased, right?
barbecues. That's why I don't like Southern state barbecues, pit roasts and stuff. They don't know how to fucking cook meat
Mm.
properly. So,
Red meat's usually fine, but chicken, no, that has to be cooked.
exactly. And they cover it up by mixing it with like these thicker sauces and stuff. So it's like, oh well, you can't tell by the taste or everything. And the taste is great. It's very flavorful.
Wow.
But I can take a bite out of it and go, this is not fully cooked chicken, or eggs or
Oh,
something
no.
and whatnot. I'm like, hey, take this
Ugh.
back. You scramble it. At least if it's scrambled, I know it's cooked because they just love sunny side up eggs because they don't have to do shit for them. Fried eggs, they put it out and it's still like half bleeding when they put it on top of something. Like that's clearly just a fucking raw egg. Like like fucking cook it. I asked for this cooked. I was fed up. I was fed up with that. I felt like a Karen at times at some restaurants, but they were completely mistreating me just because I was a foreigner. Like, oh, what's he gonna do? Just be a make a nuisance, make an episode? I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm tired of being sick. You don't know what I've been putting up with for 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. Lots of things to talk. Lots of things to learn from. I don't take those things with like a negative viewpoint. Like they suck, but I can't control everything, so I just learn from it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, here's how I can adapt or an experience, something I won't forget. That's for sure.
Hey, at least you were able to like enjoy it, even through all of that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
This is part of the reason why I don't travel.
You don't travel because you like kids being at the house and just watching them have fun with your toys and breaking them.
No. Trust me, if I could set up a fucking trap that's breaking legs or something if they were trying to walk in my room, I would.
Jeez.
Just put a
I didn't say it would kill them. I said to break their legs. They're young.
Oh
They'll
my
heal
God.
quick.
Just put a box on a
We're not
stick.
looking to get canceled
Yeah,
because of your views on kids, Matt.
Just put a box on stick. Put some M&Ms under there or the Switch. They're not gonna know any
man.
better. Yeah, piece of string.
And I make the box out of lead with no air holes.
When's the last
Oh
time
my
you
God,
traveled, Matt?
Where did you ever travel outside the U.S., Matt?
Yeah, I've gone south of the border to Mexico once as a kid.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it was boring as shit because the person my mother was married to at the time was like not the religious aspect of it, but the stereotypical doesn't like to spend money Jew. He was Jewish, wasn't heavy into the religion, but fell into every stereotype of the I will not spend money if I don't have to side of that stereotype. So there was almost no fun. It was boring as shit. There were 6 kids, including me, and we didn't really do shit. It was boring. The only other time we ever fucking traveled anywhere was we all went up to New York City once. Same shit happened. We were either at a couple of basic restaurants or in the fucking hotel room.
Oh man.
Like, what the hell?
But do you know like where in Mexico you went? Because
No.
there's so many different places.
No, it was not far past the southern border though of the U.S. So it was not
so
far into it.
you kind of sounds like you just visited like a border town then. Like
Literally.
that's
Literally the only thing I remember them calling it was they literally called it just south of the border. That's it.
It kind of sounds like the place like in South Carolina. The south of the border place.
I don't know.
Are you sure it's not that?
I don't know. It took us a
Yeah,
couple days of driving to get there, so
there's
I
like a
doubt
whole
it was just South
amusement park
Carolina.
and hotel and everything called South of the Border, literally on the a couple miles in, but right on the border.
Well,
You see the signs for it at the same exact spot. You see the "Welcome to South Carolina."
this was several days of driving, so I don't think it is that short of a distance.
I don't think a lot of people go to visit like border towns in Mexico.
No, but again, stereotypical does not want to spend money side of the Jewish stereotype. That is what he fell into.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, my power flickered for a second. I don't know if I was gonna cut out or something.
Mm.
So, if I just randomly.
How's the storm? Oh yeah, how's the storm over there?
It was fine for a few hours and it just picked up again. So, the winds are still like 25 miles per hour. So, yeah, that's probably why I've had a couple flickers in the last hour where I'm like, is the Wi-Fi going to cut out again? Because was that flicker just too long to reset the router or the modem? So, that's happened a couple times in the last week. I don't know why.
Yeah, we've had like one flicker over here today, but I didn't even notice it. My grandmother said the lights flickered for a second, but nothing happened with internet connection, nothing happened with my computer back here. Like, I did not notice it happened.
Yeah. Well, Ari mentioned not wanting to get canceled. Do you want to discuss politics?
What is even going on right now?
You mean in Russia? Or
Oh,
where?
you want to talk about that?
You talking locally or globally? I can do
I thought
either.
you wanted to talk. We can talk either state politics, national politics, international politics. You name it.
Matt, flip a coin.
I don't know.
Is there a three-sided coin?
The only thing I
Three-sided
know
die.
of any politics or any stuff that's happened recently is from like the 5 minutes of the news I get while eating dinner real quick. While my grandmother's watching that and eating. The Queen's died. Russia's planning on annexing part of Ukraine.
I'll
And
have to
fucking
show you a
prices here are
YouTube
still
channel.
stupid.
It gives you like 3 or 4 highlights around
I
the
am
world.
not going to watch it. You know I'm not going
It's
to. Don't waste your time.
It makes 6-minute clips and it gives you the 1-2 minute summary of what's like 3 or 4 events going on in the U.S.
Are you talking about TLDR?
I am talking about TLDR.
And you know that I still won't watch it, so don't bother wasting your time. I don't care about the politics.
What's funny is like I used to follow them for like UK politics, and then once they like started, American politics, that's when I was like, I'm done with this. Like I don't want to watch you anymore.
I primarily just watch the TLDR daily. They give the 1-2 minute summaries of like global events happening or headlines. It's like, here's what's going on. Here's what this says. Here's what this says. Next topic. Here's the events. So, but what were you thinking about for locally or state? Because you said you put emphasis on that. What's on your mind?
Honestly, like I don't really care for like the state politics right now. Because for people who don't know that we live in Virginia and we have a divided government. So there's really nothing going on in terms of policy or anything, drastic that's changing in Virginia politics. But going back to Matt, like, they did have the referendum. Well, I mean, like, if you can even call it that. But Russia just like annexed all of those places. And yeah, even though they're not fully Russian controlled and definitely not like basically just not, it's a sham vote.
I'm just waiting for World War III to start already.
Well, to clarify a little bit more, the military would show up door to door to each of the Ukrainian residents in those districts and be like, "Hey, vote yes or no to be part of Russia."
I wonder if what happens when you vote no.
They already take you out or send you to prison. That was confirmed a bit, not always, but more often than not, they were skewing the vote, however they felt necessary. So, but in Virginia, they also have what they call the F-150 plan that they're trying to introduce. I heard the Department of State talk about this yesterday, where they want people to go from high school to being able to buy their first F-150 within a year without having to go to college, like streamline.
Fuck gives a fuck about
What the
it being
hell?
an
Like a
F-150?
truck?
Yeah,
Like where does that come from though? Like
they don't want people to go to college. They want people to go into other careers or professions like
Oh, gotcha.
any other industry or trade. They don't have to go to college, and they want people to be able to earn a living so they can buy their first F-150 a year after graduating high school, because they're like the way school
is it
systems are.
sponsored by Ford?
Nope. it's just very obvious who they're trying to appeal to. So, again, college isn't for everyone. It's definitely overrated right now, and overpriced. Like if you're not doing a certain STEM field or something, or PhD, it's very questionable if you should even pursue it. You can easily make just as much or more with a trade with a lot less debt, and we need more people like that. And they are skilled workers. They're just not office jobs. But I just thought it was interesting that they're calling it the F-150 plan. It's
Yeah, they could have chose a better name for that.
they made it obvious. They're like, we want to start giving people ideas and options in middle school and everything, and be like, yeah, if you don't want to do college, you can start doing these things. That way, come high school in the last couple of years, and they're like, oh, what college do I go to? What am I trying to pursue and stuff? They'll have like more time to be like, I'm interested in this, or I don't want to go to college. I don't want to get the loans.
If they're gonna do something like that, screw the F-150. Make it a home.
No, they want an F-150 because a car is a three-way depreciating asset. You don't make money from it, they don't gain money, and it's a big tax. It's big tax cost and money sink. Why would you buy a house? Why would they want you to buy a house?
Because that'll
You can
actually
live
be
out
useful for
you
people.
can live out your car, Matt. You don't need a house. When does a
Fuck
house make you
that.
money?
When the land prices skyrocket, you sell it.
Yeah. So I heard about that literally yesterday, and I thought that was interesting. That's what they're trying to push for. I'm fine with changing the education system, and I know Brandon's got a lot of thoughts on this. We talk about it all the time, but it definitely needs some sort of revamping, needs some sort of fix. But
I mean, definitely. There's also like a huge skills gap. There are no more plumbers. There are no more electricians. There's definitely a need for skilled labor.
Yeah, I don't know all the reasons for it.
People got lazy.
I would say it's probably a bit of that. Because who wants to be sweating or working all day? There's more six-figure like plumbers and electricians and trade workers than there are office job people.
Oh yeah.
Working a crane, I found this out yesterday also at the event I went to. Working a crane is like playing a video game nowadays. People aren't even in the cranes. They're at they're behind a desk with machines, and they push like 3 or 4 buttons to move it and operate it, and they're making over 150K a year just for doing that. And there's just not enough people operating these cranes, so people pay well. It's like Border Patrol gets paid well. They get paid like 60, 70K to do Border Patrol jobs, but people just aren't applying for them. All these what they call...
That's the same amount as like a state police trooper.
Exactly, but people just aren't applying for these jobs. People want the office jobs, the comfy stuff. So there's that big divide of how do you get people to come do these trades or necessary work, but it's not often respected or fully understood. Again, like plumbers and electricians. Everyone's like, oh, I can do my own wiring at the house and fix my own toilet, but there's a reason why you have to have a license to do some stuff involving those utilities. or house whatever framework. I don't know. You get what I mean. And
Yeah.
so the real issue, definitely with Republicans across the nation, is how do we introduce these as more alluring options? It comes down with education, obviously, telling people what these things are, what they offer, but also comes down to financial education. If you can't teach people how to manage their money or start their own business properly, people aren't going to pursue these things because it's such high risk. And if, even though you're a young individual, unless you're like desperate or you're like, yeah, this is what I would do, why is someone going to take up a risk for like being a plumber and they're just not comfortable with it or want to do that? And they don't know how to manage their own money or manage their own business. Typically people are their own businesses or LLCs. So I'm not the best at this. We have a couple other people in the group like Ulrich and Anthony who know a lot more than me, but that's just my understanding. And I agree. There needs to be more options. People shouldn't be forced down this cultural college is best pipeline. There's so many people that drop out anyways. It's like, what, a 25% dropout rate? Just, no. 70% of people go to college each year from high schools and stuff. And like 25 or 33%, 25, a quarter to a third of those people drop out within their first year.
Yeah, and then you're still stuck with the debt.
Exactly. So why should people get stuck with this debt that now they can't pay off? Because you have to pay off federal student loans. Those are the only loans that can't be forgiven or ignored or defaulted, etc. Big issues. Those are things that need to be resolved. But I don't like the whole concept of F-150 of here. You can buy your own car. You can buy your own F-150 within your first year. Ideally at home, but most people are not going to be making enough or budgeting enough within 1 year to buy a house when they get out of high school. So I can understand why they call it the F-150 plan. I do agree, Matt. It should be get your own home within 2 or 3 years, even if it's just a studio or something like that.
Yeah. Because, you can get your own first car in high school.
You can get that for $100 if you talk to the right people that are just whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a depreciating value asset. You're not making money off of it. Why take out a loan to get it when you're just losing money? You have to pay to maintain it, pay to use it,
pay to own it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's just so many things wrong with it, and the fact that they specifically go out of their way to mention the F-150, it's like, why? Just so many other things that probably could have been named. Just
because they're just with the title, people don't read into plans and all that stuff. They're just trying to get the attention of. We know who likes F-150s and who wants F-150s and who's like, yeah, this is the best vehicle out there. I have no opinion on it. It's just, I'm not saying it's a bad car either, truck. It's just I think the plan name is interesting, but it makes sense in a quick like 1 or 2 sentence summary what they're trying to do. You get what I mean?
At least go with a nicer vehicle.
The
Tundra.
The Cybertruck plan, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I would sign up for that. I want a Cybertruck.
You want something that it doesn't crumble when it gets hit, right? I forget how that works.
Isn't it like a steel, aluminum or something?
I'm not sure. I know modern cars are trying to make it crumble as much as possible so that the frame crumbles in on itself because that dissipates the energy. It's not like just hitting a brick wall. But not everyone likes that. Not everyone thinks that's fully safe. So I actually don't know how the Cybertruck works in terms of safety features. I don't know if it's just steel or.
I don't know. The bulletproof
mache.
glass got shattered by a ball being thrown at.
I know that was a great meme. That was a great meme.
It's indestructible. Maybe that was bad. Let's try the second one. It's indestructible. God damn it. Yeah.
But isn't that how like a bulletproof
Yes, but it wasn't even supposed to crack under a hand-thrown ball. A bullet, yes, that's what it's supposed to do. But if that's what's happening just by throwing a lightweight shot put at it, a bullet's going through it.
Yeah, like imagine you trip and you accidentally put your hand or your elbow on it.
Fucking accidentally headbutt the thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, there's some state politics I just learned. That was interesting. I don't know how far it's gonna go or anything like that, but
Hmm.
all I know is elections are coming up soon, and I need to start studying the candidates for the various things on my ballot. I usually wait till a couple weeks prior because that's when they finalize some stuff and they don't change anything really.
Shit's gonna be what it's gonna be. So, like usual, I'm not gonna give a shit.
And I'm okay with that because you don't complain about it either. Whatever
No.
whatever the results are, or whatever happens, you're like, it's gonna happen regardless, whether now or
I
4 years from
roll
now.
with it. I
Yeah.
don't bitch about something not being the way I like. So I get to be that person that's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna vote because whatever the fuck's gonna happen is gonna happen, whether the people hold up to what they said they're gonna do or not. I didn't fucking vote for them.
Yep.
I didn't vote against them. I don't give a shit. I've got no control over it, or at least not enough to make any real difference. So, and I'm not going to bitch about it, so I'm not going to care.
Yeah, and while I fundamentally disagree that I do think you should vote, I respect that you are like that for not voting. You're not like I know some people that don't vote and then they complain about everything that happens. I'm like, you technically had a chance and a way to change it. You shouldn't be complaining about something you had a chance to potentially change or impact and chose not to act. So, but that's just me. I don't like people like that, or people don't vote because they think they're on the losing team, and it's like there is no losing team.
Yeah, not voting because you're on the quote unquote losing team is why it's the losing team.
Exactly. So, do you know how many districts or House votes or whatever get won by like 20 votes, 10 votes? Like every year, there's a thing of a every year, every set of election cycles, there's some district or something where it came down to less than 100 votes or came down to like 10 votes or flipping a coin. Like, you're not on the losing team until the team loses. It's like that's why you never give up in a sports game until the buzzer rings, the clock dings. You know what I mean?
Till it's over.
Till it's over, yeah. Till the fat lady sings. Ah, there we go. Third rhyme.
There you
Got
go.
it. Nice. Thank you, Ari.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Matthew.
I think Matt's about to fall asleep.
I know.
I'm always tired. Y'all know this.
Yeah. How did that? You ever get that hacking thing resolved?
There's a hacking thing.
Which hacking thing?
For that game.
Yeah, no. We just helping moderate some stuff on a couple of DayZ servers because that's what I'm doing in my free time right now. Someone doesn't like the owner of the server, and that someone was one of the mod creators, so they added some malicious code that spawned explosives across the entirety of every one of the maps and blew everybody's shit up. That code is still in there. So we've just had to remove it and go back to a different rating system.
And that is not my specialty, so I was like, I don't think I can help that much with it. Especially since you already identified it. That's probably the most I could do.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally a like callback string of code. So it's like if it's on XYZ IP address, call back. If yes, spawn this. It was pretty simple code, and if we wanted to get around it, we literally could have just like removed it from the code, copied the files down, saved it under a different name, and like encoded it so that encrypted it so that person couldn't just look the thing back up, change some names in the files, and be like, yeah, no, this is ours. We made this, but we ain't about to do that. So we just went back to a different system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do some breakneck topic change again. Whiplash. Ari, I know you don't want to talk about your previous uh, breakup that you just had. Do you want to talk about any former ones and any patterns you've noticed by chance with your, I guess, dating habits? Or do you notice any
You hear me?
patterns? What?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought my mic disconnected.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Do you
Yeah,
notice any
it's
patterns? Like, I noticed some patterns with people I was dating, and I was like, okay, so this is probably a me thing. Did you notice anything like that between this last one and, I guess, former relationships also you've had? Again, you don't have to talk about the last one you had, but I'm talking like collectively in your
Right,
experience.
right. I guess there was. So I think the main issue was that there was like something that like would have blocked, I guess like a long-term stable relationship. And yeah, 'cause like okay, so I didn't want to go into like talking about it, but I guess, in when I broke up with my last girlfriend, it was like we had discussed about like, me converting to the religion of Islam, and then um just to remedy the fact that like I am not of the Islamic faith, and I'm also of a different culture from hers. And it would have been like a really difficult thing for me to, do, because like, well, even though I would become a Muslim, I wouldn't be able to overcome like, the cultural differences. And for that reason, like her parents would have basically just like disown her because of that. And then the woman that I was dating before, her ultimate goal was to go down to Atlanta to become an actress. And I mean, obviously, like, and this was like right before I started like law school. And so that would have been very difficult, to do, because, well, I mean, we would have been in different like locations, and it would have been long distance. And yeah, it just wouldn't have worked out. So that would have been, yeah, that's like the second thing that I noticed. Yeah.
Okay, but
if you,
what's the pattern you see between them?
Like I thought, oh, okay, so like you mean like a pattern as in like what
Whether
was
it's like the type of individuals you're attracted to that you and then incidentally break up for like similar reasons or similar disconnects. Like maybe you couldn't connect on the same thing of politics with
mm,
all of your past experiences. Not that that's a reason for the breakup, but
right.
that kind of, yeah. Maybe I should have led with an example like that.
Um oh, okay.
Which I do think is kind of
Um
funny because you're like long distance is hard and different cultures, and I'm like that's literally what my fiance situation is right now. I have traveled to Morocco on 3 separate occasions to learn the culture, and they're like, yeah, he's cool. Can't speak with him. He doesn't know Arabic, but he's a cool dude.
right.
They would.
Yeah, you can just go off of vibes then. What I've
I'm
noticed, I
also
guess,
very
like,
good at reading body language and context clues, so I can actually understand kind of what they're saying with just like a quick 2 words of what's going on and follow the
hmm,
conversation. But
yeah.
that's
I think I,
different.
yeah, I think I understood your question then, because
Yeah.
like, I think like, because like I was thinking like, what was like a thing that like basically like ended the relationship,
No,
or
no,
like
no. I meant like
what made it unstable?
was yeah.
Because like those two things,
If it
yeah,
was
those two things, led to, instability, and also like
if that and
just
your other relationships coincidentally ended for the same reasons, yeah, that's what I meant. Was there a pattern like that, Matt?
oh,
This applies to
gotcha.
you too. It doesn't have to be about the breakups. Like, oh, you broke up every time because you want kids, they don't
Hmm.
want kids, and that's like the third woman or partner in a row where you're like, um, you know, that's the third or fourth person in a row where you're like, well, maybe I'm finding the wrong people that just don't have the same long term goals as me. That's what I meant. Did you notice a pattern between that, between your recent one and former relationships, like in the type of individual you're attracted to, that maybe might be a flag or something that you're like, you good or bad?
That's an interesting question.
Because that's how you understand yourself too, and what your goals
And
and intentions are.
yeah, it's very multifaceted in a way. Just to think about that. Because like just thinking about it, like I mean, the types of women that I'm like attracted to, um, like these two women were completely different from each other,
But
but
they
like they
had
had
something
shared
in
a lot of
common. They
similarities.
had something in
Yeah,
common because you're
like
attracted to it.
I guess like comparing like those two, I would say like we shared like a lot of common interests, but like we were never like 100% like, but that's normal. Like you can never be like 100% like compatible with someone, there's always like differences of an opinion. And I guess just like learning how to, either accept or deal with it, is an important part. Um, but I don't know. I haven't given that much thought as to like what would have been like, factors in leading to, I guess, the demise of the relationship.
I
Um,
I got a couple of things in mind that I can spit off right off the bat.
Yeah, go ahead. It's a good way to understand yourself, also, if you can you see patterns in others. It's like people that go through
Uh,
it's like women that go through the bad boy phase, where they're always attracted
mm,
to the troublemaker, and it's because there's a
mhm.
commonality. That's what I was getting at. It doesn't have to be like that for you, but sorry, Matt, didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah, for mine, I've only been in like two like actual serious relationships, if you want to call them that. They both were too clingy, in my opinion. The first one, d- it's the oldest one. It wanted to do too many things, but then when you get ready to do it, didn't enjoy it. Whatever along those lines. That was also when we were both young, so that's
Mhm.
kind of to be expected. Trying to figure out what you actually like and all that.
Yeah, back in the
Sec-
70s, it was crazy, man.
but no, and the second one,
When he was actually 50.
Yeah, less than
second
50, yeah.
one was completely different type of personality, different type of everything about her, pretty much. But like way too overly clingy, and this was during COVID.
Mm.
And I
Yes, I
live
remember, yeah.
again, yeah, live with grandparents. Grandparents babysit. She had her own kid. Fine with that.
Mhm.
Her kid comes back from the father's test positive for COVID. I'm like, okay, well, you sleep in the same room with your child. I'm gonna need you to quarantine before you can come back over. So we had to cancel the plans for the coming up weekend in like 3 days. So she's like, oh, but I really want to see you. You're gonna quarantine for 2 weeks. But I went, no, you're gonna quarantine. And just like constantly kept trying to push and would not accept. I am not
Mhm.
taking the risk to myself, my grandparents, or the children that we watch. Just have sex. It ain't happening. It ain't worth it. So I had to cut that one off right then and there. So for me, them being overly clingy seems to be a common pattern.
Hmm. That's actually gotten me thinking about like I went from like one extreme to the other in terms
Yeah.
of my like two relationships because like the first one, very independent, a little cold, I would say, aloof. Um definitely didn't want to be very like um I guess like,
Structured.
not showing like affection as much.
Oh, okay.
Or like, in my last one that I just, broke off was completely different. It was a complete 180. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but like,
You're
yeah, I
good.
just went from one extreme to the other, I
You
guess.
can think about it for a minute. I want to jump back to what Matt said about uh, his the clinginess that he noticed. Is that something
Mm.
that developed after the relationship was ongoing, or were there any kind of signals or signs beforehand that were there any flags that triggered and maybe you thought that was whatever, or did it just completely come out of the blue? And what is the commonality, if it was something other than just sex, for why you started meeting the individuals more regularly? You know what I mean? If it is just sex, that it is what it is. But if there's like a personality trait or something that caught your attention repeatedly, and that trait either turned into clinginess or was an independent factor from the clinginess, did you notice anything like that? Did you
In
like
all
the
honesty,
attention all up front that was that turned it up, that
no,
turned out to just be
no,
super clingy? Okay.
no. But like looking back at the first one and then having met up with her again later on in life after the fact, I would, knowing what I know now, the cleanness from the first one was like problems at home. Like her father, years after we had broken up, ended up getting violent and actually sent her through a wall, which caused other problems. But so I think the first one was pretty much just using it as a means to get out of the house, and the second one, not for any abusive reasons, but likely due to the if I'm with you, I don't have to deal with my kid, possibly, as another reason of just to get away from there. So something along those lines of they would rather be over here with me than dealing with whatever they have there.
So was that able to be picked up? Sorry, this is turning into a therapy session. This is literally just how I spend my free time because I don't really watch TV. So did this? I read a bunch of stuff. So is that stuff that you kind of could pick up on at the beginning, or you're like, hey, they seem to be
The
definitely making
first
a lot of
one,
time, or
the first one, no.
a
The
weird
second
power
one
dynamic
was
that they
kind
were
of
interested in
obvious.
that you didn't pick up on until later, where they wanted you to help fill a void or a space that they were missing?
The first one, no, not really. In fact, at the time, she was a does whatever her parents tell her to type child. We were middle school, early high school age. So it was along those times that, yeah, parents say, no, don't do this. Okay, she's not going to do that. Whatever. Like, don't even be in the same room with him without an adult there. It's like, we're in middle school. And this was early 2000s, not current generation. So it's like, the fuck were we gonna do?
I don't think you even had a phone back then. Still, some people did, some people
No,
didn't. Yeah,
we were using my grandmother's phone and her mother's phone to communicate.
yeah. Me and my
So it's
siblings
like,
had a disposable phone just for pickup for practice if it ended early, like specific minutes, but you couldn't do it. There were some offline games you could do there, like a tank battle. Anyways, sorry,
yeah,
got distracted.
but yeah, no. So like, again, for her, it seems like it ended up being more of a get away from just all the drama at home because she also had a bunch of brothers and sisters, large family.
Mm.
Parents couldn't either wrap it up or do whatever. I couldn't pull out apparently. But either way, like, so her using that as a getaway, looking back at it now, understandable. The second one, the more recent one, she was literally just fucking dodging responsibilities.
Mm.
What
Yeah,
about you? Do you think made it appealing for these women with, let's say, similar issues? It seemed like to be attracted to you or want to be in a relationship with you. Is it just from availability, or what did you give off that you
probably
think?
availability.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one we met at, I think it was one of the like school like skate nights or something, and she was a
Mm.
homeschooled child, so they just happened to be there, and it's like, I've never seen you before or whatever, done, never did know you existed, and she came up saying that I've been staring at her. I'm like, who the fuck are you? And that conversation started. It's like,
I've had
okay,
conversations like
so
that.
yeah, but I mean, like, even now, like, looking at that, that might have been just a thing of, oh, hey, here is guy around my age sitting over here on the side on his own. Use this as a distraction, get away from parents for a little bit. I don't know, but it's something along those lines of I'm there, why not? Seems to be the common denominator between why they come to me.
What do you give off, like sugar dad vibes?
I ain't got no fucking money.
He gives off real dad vibes. He's raising kids, babysitting, managing a house. This man's dependable.
Granddad vibes.
This man
Granddad
is great
vibes.
with kids, cusses them out every day, and still feeds them. This is what you want. So I don't know. Maybe that is it. Ari, did they have time for? Did they give you some time for?
Your thoughts on your
yeah.
relationships?
Matt, also thanks for speaking about that. I did think that was interesting. These are just the kind of things I think about, and also for my previous relationships, which I can comment on for how I approach it and learn from it. But
boy, your relationships are secretive. Until what was it? Last year and a half ago, I didn't know you even ever had a girlfriend, and apparently you were engaged at that point already. It's like the fuck.
Yeah,
your relationships are secretive, bitch.
It's funny you say that because in the other episode I was talking about with the red flags, one of the flags is keep hiding the relationship or something like that.
Yeah.
So we're the three of us were constantly bouncing back between at the start of a relationship, that's whatever, further in a relationship, it's like that. So we'll rank it here. When I saw that one, keep hiding the relationship or something, I immediately was like, that's not a red flag. I was like, that's kind of good. I was like, that's a good thing. That's not a deal breaker. That's not even close to it. And the other two were like, that's not awful, but it's bad but manageable. And I'm like, nah, that's the other side of the spectrum for me.
Yeah, it depends.
That's a red
on
flag.
It depends on how your family reacts to shit.
Yep. Or
how serious you are about the relationship, all that type of stuff.
That's what I said.
With the most recent one, I made the mistake of mentioning it to my family early. And my mother found her on Facebook, and they started talking. And Mom was like, "Oh, it's so glad that he's met someone like you." Blah blah. I'm like, "We met on Tinder.
Yeah.
This is not a serious relationship."
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like,
I don't think now if you're like engaged and you're hiding it, or if you're very serious and seeing them regularly, then it's a problem. But initially, and for most dating, until you get to a relationship, keeping it secretive, you're trying to figure out the other person. You want to have some privacy and security to figure them out before you introduce them to some social networks. You don't just throw them into the wild and they don't throw you into the wild. Like, here's my parents' house, like day one.
No.
Meet my sisters.
First date is not a, hey, let's go meet the family.
Yeah.
There's no point in that. You have no attachment yet.
Exactly.
There's no reason to do any of that. There's no reason to bring the family or the friend groups into it.
So yes, yeah. So I'm okay with people hiding relationships up to a certain point, whether you feel like it's something that is tangible or however long that takes.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're not necessarily even hiding it. It's just it's not worth bringing up yet.
Yeah, exactly. You're still trying to figure it out. But anyways, back to Ari. Did you find any commonality yet? It probably takes time. It takes a lot of introspection sometimes. But did you see any commonality between your previous relationships, whether why they were attracted to you and what you're offering or delivering, and or between their personalities for what you were attracted with? Because you said they're very different, but at the same time, they could be on two extremes, but there's something about them that attracted you to both of them. And that's a commonality with you. So something about both of them.
I guess like being like a commonality would be like they're both like really down to earth people. Like, well, I mean, I say that now, and then like the reason that we broke up is like something that isn't like necessarily a trait for down to earth people, but they definitely gave the impression that they were. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it really requires
it right there. You said they gave the impression that they were down to earth, but maybe they actually weren't.
Yeah, because like,
what specifically about down to earth are you looking for? Because I'm pretty down to earth, And I'm in a pretty serious
Um,
relationship with platypus, but
yeah.
I
I guess,
no, with
like,
my fiance. I was making that
Yeah.
joke during the red flag thing. Also, I was like, "Yeah, platypus, speak properly. I'm listening." I was,
Yeah, actually, that's actually a good point. When I think of like being down to earth, I mean, just being able to like have a conversation about anything, and then um, not being materialistic in things.
so detached from substance value, like value, not substance like drugs, but like placing extra value on material goods or
Mhm,
as a sign of success or
yeah,
value or worth or happiness.
and then I end up just spoiling both of them, and yeah, so
Well,
I guess like they both.
how do you
Well,
spoil
I
them?
can say they
If you don't
both.
mind me
They
asking, how do you spoil
Huh?
them? How do you spoil them with materialistic stuff or with
I
time or what?
Yeah,
If you don't mind me
and I
asking, you don't have to. Same with you, Matt. You don't have to answer these questions if you're uncomfortable.
actually both. I definitely like try to do a lot of things. Taking them out to like nice restaurants. Doing like a lot of like boutique stuff. Going to like museums, and then also buying like a lot of gifts.
You mean
Like
actually spoiling
flowers.
monetarily?
Yeah,
Were you
and
constantly readily
the thing
available for
is
them?
like,
Always
and I
available?
notice. And I notice now, like, that, yeah, um, that I did spoil, these women that, were not supposedly like materialistic, and then I guess they just um took advantage of that, I guess. But what was your question?
Yeah, you're good.
I was still thinking.
You're good. Yeah, I wasn't trying to interrupt your train of thought, but I was trying to guide it. Were you also spoiling them with availability and time? Never. I mean,
Oh
obviously, if you
yeah.
have classes,
Oh
if you have
yeah,
class or
yeah.
something, it's like, hey, after class. But anytime you had free time, were you just always there
Oh
and
yeah. I
available?
was I was definitely available, and I think too much. I was available
Too
too
free,
much.
not enough
Yeah.
independence or, let's say, isolation or alone time. You're like,
Not
yeah,
enough
you know what?
time
I'm
for
free. You.
yourself.
What was that, Matt?
Not enough time for oneself.
Correct.
Mhm.
You always had your foot in the door if they were ready for you, which I can understand that. You want to show like, yeah, I'm here to support you or
Right.
go do an activity with you. But at the same time, because you're always there, always available at any given moment,
It's
it
it's just too much
it can
also,
kind of
yeah.
seem like a dog at times, where it's like the dog's always like love dogs,
Hmm.
but they're always whenever you get up from the couch, they're always getting up. Also, like, where are we going? Um,
Hmm.
and sometimes like I'm just trying to take a piss.
Yeah.
And they just wait outside the
That's very spot on. Yeah. Just being too available, I guess. God, I was gonna say something about that too, and I just like lost my train of thought there.
Sorry.
Um,
That's
no, no, no.
it's okay
It's
to be
good.
like that at times, but these are just how you
But
figure
no,
out
like,
commonalities and see patterns, whether good or bad. For
mhm.
maybe this is what I can work on, or maybe this was the problem, and then you expand off of it. Um,
Yeah.
so sorry, I'm still trying to process. What was the commonality for why you were attracted to the both of them, though? You say they're down to earth. There's
Right.
plenty of down to earth women,
Right.
and there's
Yeah.
plenty
And
that we have
actually
met at
down
the
to earth.
same time. Yeah, that you weren't attracted to.
Um,
What specifically though? Like, yeah, that's a cool trait about them. That's something that you liked, but what was that hook that actually connected these two extremes for you?
that they're both like put together. It seemed like they had their shit together. It seemed like they were both like elegant and worldly, I would say, in their own ways. Just being able to just talk about like beyond like the small talk.
Did they
Being able
give
to talk about
did they give the impression,
cultural
or
stuff.
are they actually like not well put together? Wow, I actually just blanked really quick mid thought.
Welcome to my world.
They are
Yeah.
individuals. They are, like, I think what you're saying for ground and stuff. They gave off the impression, or they're put
Yeah.
together. They are independent. They are
Hmm.
their own package in the world, and they know what they are, and they're going through the world like that. They're not lost or confused.
They
at
gave
all.
off that they were like different. They were special, and
Okay.
I think an issue with that is like putting these women on a pedestal when not recognizing that everyone's human
Yep.
and everyone has their own flaws.
Yep.
And I think like the mistake that I made was, okay, for the first one, I decided, like I didn't want to accept, the flaws but for
Typical
the one
mistake.
just recently, yeah.
It's okay.
And then for this one, uh I feel like I just was like, well, you can have every flaw and still be perfect, which that's also not healthy.
It depends on how you approach it.
Well,
Because I
yeah,
tell
I
my
mean,
fiance all the time, I'm like, I love you and your flaws the way they are. I'm like, no one's perfect. And even with your flaws or imperfections, I like those
Mhm.
imperfections. Either those are something I can handle, something I can work with. Compared to some of mine, it's like, hey, that's not a big deal at all.
Well, I
No one's
mean, I think
perfect, so
I also
I'm
discount.
okay with a package and dealing with the good and
Uh-huh.
the bad. And
I think I also discount like the fact that like there was baggage, but like
Mhm.
I call them flaws. But flaws, I feel like are just smaller things. Like I don't know. I guess like a flaw would be like someone wearing shoes in their house or something.
I would
Um,
also work. I would work as cheesy as it sounds. I would also work on a mentality change or terminology change. Instead of calling them flaws, which are things that can't really be fixed or a whole redesign has to be
oh,
happen, call them imperfections, stuff that can be worked out. They
imperfections. Yeah.
exist, but they can still be touched up and fixed and worked on.
Huh.
Flaws require a whole redesign, and people don't want to be told they have a flaw of their character because that means they have to undo
Hmm.
whatever to fix it if they want
I
it
guess
fixed.
also, I guess differentiating between those, I guess, would be like a helpful thing for me then.
Yeah.
Um,
So like having baggage, that's not a flaw. Um, a flaw is stuff that you
hmm.
can't really, in my opinion, a flaw is something you can't really fix or change because of just how something works or operates. Like an
Mhm.
umbrella is only going to open one way. It's not a, it's a flaw that you can't open it when the wind's going sideways or that it doesn't rotate or it fans open and flips inside out because there's too much wind. That's just a flaw of the design or the fabric. Can't
Hmm.
fix that really. An imperfection is if there's a small hole in it. You know, so having baggage is like that's in my mind at least. I try to distinguish. So having baggage, I wouldn't call a flaw. That's a character trait. That's something.
Hmm.
That's just a lesson that they've learned from, and if they've addressed it
That's
properly.
funny. That's really funny that you mentioned that
A
because
flaw is how they broke up repeatedly. If it's the same
uh,
thing that causes them to break up, that's a character flaw. That's a trait.
mhm.
That's something that's just not going to really fix without a lot of reworking. But just having baggage in general doesn't make it a flaw, in my mind.
Right. That reminds me of like a class that I'm taking here at the law school is called Evidence, and we talk about character traits and like character. And yeah, I just thought of that when
Yeah,
you mentioned character flaws.
yeah. Like my first girlfriend, she had a lot of baggage, but I didn't have a problem with that because that was all before my time. Didn't
Yeah,
have any lingering connections with any of them,
right.
and yeah, briefly talked about it and addressed it or any questions that came up. And after that, I was like, all right, that answers everything. You are who you are from your experiences. I'm not going to change that. So, all right. Sorry for the pause, everyone. We're having some technical issues from the storm, the hurricane. Not to time frame, not to put a time stamp on this, but Ari's transformer on his street just got blown out, so he's gonna sound a
Yeah, I had to
little
switch
weird.
over.
Yep, he's gonna sound a
Yeah.
little weird for a minute, so we're gonna wrap this episode up. I'm more than happy to talk about this further with you guys in the future, or I guess my experiences. They're definitely different from most people, but I've been aware for a while of how relationships should work and or introspection with myself a lot. So these are questions I was asking myself 10, 15 years ago when I just started. Not like from experience, but before I even started dating. So, yeah. So, anyways, like I said, we'll wrap this up here. Gentlemen, you have any final words?
Don't date homeschool chicks.
Don't date homeschool. Okay. I wasn't expecting that, Ari.
Don't date when your power's out.
That's the perfect time to date. That's when you have to you have no distractions.
Hey, you don't have to worry about turning the lights off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You just have to worry about me in the window with binoculars. So, anyways, I'm not that creepy yet.
Yet.
Yeah. You never know. You never know how people turn out in the future. Yeah, I don't have any final words. That was a good talk. Sorry to make it go deep suddenly, but these are just thoughts. These are thoughts that keep me awake at night. So, what can I do?
It seems like you're always awake at night.
Yeah, I don't sleep very well. That's another issue. That's for another episode. We'll do that at like 3 a.m. and be like, why are you still up?
Did we already talk about sleep?
We did with Sean when Sean came on. So we can do it again though without the medical professional in the field in the call. Give our own bad advice.
About that.
Yeah.
We don't sleep.
So, anyways, thank you all for joining Unfiltered Pineapple. We're gonna wrap this up here. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, and follow our other socials. It was great hanging out with you guys again. We'll catch you all later. See you guys later. See you, Matt. See you, Ari.
Peace.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear.